And away we go. It is the Nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. Visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Get down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. All right, Aaron. The Bearcat Bowl is in the books. Travis Kelce walks out with his second Super Bowl championship. Jason Kelce walks off devastated. I think that was my most visceral reaction to this, was seeing Jason at the end of the game, knowing that, that Chiefs offense didn't really get a chance to go back out there, and the Eagles offense didn't get a chance to go back out there and make a play. You don't get to do that to me after I had to explain to you a sentence 3 times last night. We'll get to the officiating part because I think it's important to talk about. But in terms of the Bearcats stuff, didn't Brian Cook really? The only time I noticed Brian Cook was when the Chiefs picked up the Jalen Hurts fumble and ran it into the end zone. And then he had the hit on the sidelines where the tight end Goddard made the catch, and they didn't overturn it. He hit him right as he was making the catch and kind of jostled it around in his helmet before pulling it in. Those are the really only 2 times I noticed Brian. I'm sure he played more, but I'm talking about plays that he was involved in.
Yeah, I don't even recall that. So you saw more than I did with him. But he only finished with 1 tackle as far as
and it's on that play. It was on the play. Yeah. Jason is. I know that the thing to do in football is to watch the ball. If you watch Jason Kelce play center, it is captivating. The way that he snaps the ball and is out on the edge, blocking people within like half a second. The way that he gets low on those like patented Eagles, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 plays. Just the way that he plays that position is unlike anything I think that position's ever seen, because he's small, right? Like he's like 275, 280, but he's so athletic and so just tenacious that I get captivated. I find myself when they have the ball, and I know it's a UC thing and it wouldn't happen otherwise because I don't watch anybody else's center regularly.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But just watching the stuff that he's physically capable to do at 35 years old is unbelievable.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't hang it up yet. I think he still has some football ahead of him.
Clearly, he's the best center in the NFL right now. So he clearly has more good years ahead of him. And Witt played to what, 42?
I'm not sure.
41, 42. Like the offensive linemen, as long as you can avoid, the devastating injury, those guys can play for a while. And Jason is still more than athletic enough to give it another go if he wants to put his body through it.
Yeah, he's not losing a step anywhere.
No, he's the best center in the NFL.
There was no drop this season. There has been no drop.
There was elevation this season.
Yeah,
I think he took a step up.
In every way, both on and off the field. So yeah. I hope that for his podcasting career, for his NFL career, I hope he's not done because I certainly don't think that tonight was the way that he wanted a game to go.
Personally, it was kind of funny watching Kelce, my daughter, because I think she realizes like Jason's kind of winding down. Travis still probably has 3, 4, 5 years left to go if he so desires, if he doesn't decide, hey, guess what? We're going to make $200 million a year doing a podcast. Like, she was like deep down, she was pulling for Jason. Like she couldn't help herself because she's been, pulling for the Chiefs for years now. Like she ended up eventually, she said she wanted Jason to win. because it's towards the end of his career and she wanted to see him get another one. So for the first half of the game, first 40% of the game, she was at least pretending like she wanted the Eagles to win. And then the second half, you get into the heat of it and the back and forth, and she was pulling for the Chiefs. It is what it is. But at the end of the game, they showed that picture of Jason on the sidelines just kind of walking with his head down. And you could see her almost like start to tear up. And I was like, you have a soul? When did that happen? What do you mean you have a soul?
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, not the way that nobody wants to lose in the Super Bowl. So
right.
No.
And Travis was outstanding as always. Got the first touchdown for the Chiefs. Yep. His ability to get open is just like the way that they use him and his ability to read defenses and find the vacant space. Or he had the one catch over the linebacker early in the game where Mahomes threw it, just trusting that like Travis is going to beat this guy. I'm going to put it 2 yards ahead of where the linebacker is. And I know Travis is going to be there to catch it. Like,
right. And that's exactly why
is fascinating.
That's exactly why I cannot wait until the day that Travis hangs him up. I hope today was his last game.
You're not going to get that lucky. You're not going to get that lucky. But ultimately, again, it comes down to a questionable call. This time, most of the time, I agree with the way. And what's interesting is I don't know if you've seen this. The DB for the Eagles post game said, "I held him," and I was hoping they didn't call it. Which I'm like, I didn't see much of a hold there in comparison to what happens on every snap.
Like the way that I took issue with it, and the whole reason that I took just a huge problem with the play is the flag didn't look like it got thrown until after the ball hit the turf, and I thought that was odd.
No, I mean you can see it come out a little bit before that. I think
I watched every replay they showed.
Well, we get too caught. Do you know how fast that stuff is happening?
And B is the fact that
it's not the OK Corral.
I just don't think that he could have made a play on the ball.
No, I don't think so either.
And I think that's the problem that I have with the whole penalty.
But the bigger problem is, and we've seen this in college a lot, and we're seeing it in the NFL, and I do think there's a reason. But there's too many end of game calls. That call decided the Super Bowl.
It's the second year in a row that a holding call has decided the Super Bowl. It is. I told you right before we hit record, that I think I'm experiencing a little PTSD from last year with the Bengals as they lose on a terrible holding call that you didn't call the whole game, and all of a sudden now we're calling it in the last 30 seconds of a game-winning drive within the 20-yard line. Like that's, I don't get it.
I guess here's my question. Like, at what point does it tarnish the legitimacy of fandom, of people watching?
It cheapens the game. I think everyone would agree that you felt like you were watching a slobber knocker of a fight, a battle back and forth.
You were watching one of the best Super Bowls of all time.
And all of a sudden, it was like somebody just let all of the air out of the balloon. And we're like, well, that game's over. We don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there was no
Yeah, excitement. I mean, in reality, the Eagles got the stop. Kansas City kicks a field goal. And Philadelphia has the ball with like a minute 40 or 48 or whatever. Like, you got a minute and 40 and 2 timeouts or 1 timeout or whatever. 1 timeout, I think it would have been. And you get a chance to go Jalen Hurts.
To play football.
To play football to win the championship. And you saw it in the AFC championship game. You saw it last year in the Super Bowl. These things are stacking. And here's what I think it is, Aaron. I think replay has ruined officiating.
Oh, along with 4K and HD
but that's arguing against what you're saying.
It's because now we can see what's actually happening, but
I think they now have gotten complacent in Big Brother is going to correct if I make a mistake. Making a mistake is okay because the video is going to get it right, or it's going to be put on the video people as opposed to like whether it's in my hands or not if I throw the flag. I'm almost to the point, Aaron, and I know this isn't going to be popular because what replay has done to the final 2 minutes of every game in history now is a fucking travesty.
Sure.
It's awful.
Replay both in football everything. And basketball.
Yeah, replay everything. If we're going to use it, replay everything. Go to replay and let somebody in New York decide, are we going to let the Super Bowl end like this? This is the way we're going to end the Super Bowl? Like, it doesn't make sense to continue tarnishing the sport by introducing doubt in every outcome, because we see them go to replay. We see everything, like the way that things are done in the final 2 minutes, especially in a game like this, at the stakes like this, with the two best teams. They're the two number one seeds. They're the two best teams in the NFL. They rode it to home field advantage. Both are in the Super Bowl. And you have it decided like that at some point in time. At some point in time. And maybe gambling is what kind of brings the winds of change here. But you can't continue to let your league be decided on flags that are at best questionable in the biggest moments.
How much more legitimacy would the NFL have, though, if they had an actual union of the referees and an actual referee school and actual, like, these are all part-time gigs for guys that are lawyers. I mean, but they're still lawyers and have other professions and what have you. Like,
well, they allow that to happen because these guys don't want to like commit to being.
How much more legitimacy would it give your league, though? $1 billion industry, which, by the way, now that you've mentioned gambling, now that that's becoming a thing that's being more and more widely spread across these United States, at what point do we need to check and balance the NFL, the shield itself, along with the officiating, and just give it legitimacy? If these guys are going through school, I lose my entire argument that's giving credence to these guys aren't all going through any type of, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be going through courses, they'd be going through just making sure that they are all prepared the same way, rather than, well, this guy's been doing college for a while. It seems like he probably has been graded pretty well, and let's move him up to the NFL. And then we have in the playoffs these all-star officiating teams, as opposed to the officiating team that you've been with the whole year, your crew. Yeah. So I don't know. I just don't understand why we switch things up in the playoffs from what we're doing all week, every week throughout the NFL season, and now changing things in the playoffs.
Well, and we still get crews in the playoffs that grade out terrible throughout the season, and they're in the playoffs.
Correct. But again, that goes to not having referees, just a pool of referees and going through school.
Question. How high would you be willing, and it's not your money, I know you don't care, what do you think would be the right number for full-time officials per year in a multi-billion dollar business?
Enough to make sure that they're not catching kickbacks somewhere else.
They made the top officials, from a quick Google search, I haven't researched this deeply. Quick Google search says they make about, the top officials make about $250,000 a year. The average official makes $200,000.
Again, it's a $1 billion industry, and all of your outcomes and your legitimacy ride on these guys. You probably should be paying them more.
So let's say they work 6 months out of the year. If you count the preseason, regular season playoffs, 6 months roughly, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, 7 months. That's about half a year that they work. And they work 1 day a week, essentially. 500, you think half a mil per?
Well, isn't the XFL partnered with the NFL? So couldn't you not have them working in the off season and training up and doing things like
partnered?
Maybe,
I don't know that it's like a.
I don't know how deep that partnership goes, but I'm saying there's other ways.
Right.
If you do have partnerships with these lower leagues, you could have guys going through training and building up more credibility. These are the things that I think that you could do to try and just build to where we're not having these types of conversations.
Right.
You're figuring out what you're looking for the next NFL season in these minor leagues, the same way every minor league system is doing it. So I don't know. I definitely take issue with the way that the NFL has always, and going back to, we remember the officiating strike several years ago.
I guess my question though tonight, is there a point that this starts to turn off viewers, that this starts to chip away at the machine that is the NFL? Because you're seeing this so frequently in games that matter, in all the games that matter, not some of the games. The only way you're not seeing, Aaron, some call in the final 2 minutes raise doubt is if you're the Eagles 49ers last week and the Eagles just kicked their ass. And there's no chance for something at the end to be questionable.
Bengals Buffalo.
Bills. Right. Bengals Bills. I'm just thinking of last week, but exact same plane of thought.
But again, that's where you want to have, and I understand that the thought process behind having an all-star crew out there, that would, in your head,
in theory, be great. But these guys are a team. They
don't know what the other guys are calling, what the other guys are seeing. Like, there's a reason that you send the same crew out every week,
right?
Together. So are we doing all-star crews? Are we doing mix and match? Are we doing, full crews? What are we doing? I don't know. I think that it's certainly broken. I think that something needs to give. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have fans in your biggest spotlight game, by the way,
questioning the outcome, the legitimacy of the outcome.
You have players, you have analysts, you have people like you and me, just regular conversations. Everyone's walking away from the Super Bowl party tonight wondering, what the hell did I just watch in the last minute of this game?
Right.
The only people happy about the way that everything went were either people who had money on the Chiefs that got it at the end, or Chiefs fans. Everybody else around the country is wondering, what was that?
I think McAfee got it right. He talked about it all week. He talked about it after the Bengals-Chiefs game. Said, look, I'm done apologizing. These guys are waiting for somebody else to correct them. They're no longer and you see it just call this, and then that way we can review it. If there's a fumble, a questionable fumble, just let it play out, and then we'll review it.
Like the second fumble that was taken back, that one they had to, and I was explaining that to Max here. He's 12 and he's wondering what just happened. Why wasn't that a touchdown? I'm like, they have to let that play out because you don't know if it was a catch, if it wasn't a catch, and
I don't know. I'm not saying eliminate replay, or I'm saying human nature is when there's a system in place that is kind of your overlord and is there to take care of your mistakes, you become less good at your job, less great at your job. And these people are supposed to be great at their job. What did we talk about 2 weeks ago? The margin of error between these elite teams is so thin. And all it takes is one fucking shitty flag. And your season goes from the ultimate high to they lost. I watched this play out this week, and we talked about it. They lost the entire city of Cincinnati when it came to the Super Bowl. You don't see where that's bad for business? One of
Not
your
great.
markets was like, we're done. We're done. We are not participating in your showcase. But you know what they count on? Next year, the Bengals want to make the Super Bowl, and all the Bengals fans are going to be back.
That's the way it goes.
It's messed up. I know there wasn't a lot of Bearcat. Like, congrats to Travis. Congrats to Cook. Jason.
Congrats to Jason on a hell of a season. Your quarterback was better in every way possible tonight.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate seeing Jason walk off the field like that. But we're going to walk off the field like that right now. BBP tomorrow night. I'm sure we'll discuss this a little bit more. That's the Nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.